Hello dear learners, welcome again to yet another lecture on the series Residential Design Lecture Series. I am Architect Mansha Samreen, Associate Professor from School of Architecture and Design, K.R. Mangalam University, guiding you through the very interesting journey of residential design. In today's lecture, we will experience and explore what is site and what is to be done in site analysis. We will be talking about physical determinants of the site analysis. So, reading the site is very important. The physical determinants in the residential design means the physical factors that are impacting the site. Understanding the land, the climate and the natural forces as generators of residential form and how they impact it. So students, you might be wondering what is site and what does reading the site mean? So in architecture design, for architects, site means the plot in which we are going to design, and for designing purposes, it is important to understand what is site and what are the factors that has to be taken into consideration before deciding what to build, how to build and how much to build on that particular site. So what is site and why it's important? Because site is just not a blank plot, it's a layered system. And the residential design demands of various aspects that the architect has to cover. Like previously we have already discussed what are the important parameters that has to be taken in residential design, and site is one of the most important aspects that has to be taken into consideration for any type of design, and residential design also needs the same effort by the architect. Residential design demands a lot of thermal comfort, privacy and long-term livability. So early site decisions reduce design conflicts later. Good housing is not imposed on land, it grows out of it. So students need to understand how site parameters influence design logic before making any long time decisions. So the form making will start once you understand your site and what is the demand that site is having from you. So in today's lecture, students, we will work and understand how the site parameters have to be taken into consideration and how it will impact your long time design approach specific to a residential design. So in residential design, when we start with site analysis means two words. First word is site and second word is analysis. So site is the plot in which you are going to design, and it's a layered plot. A lot of things are happening on that particular site, and that the things which are happening on the site, various factors, various physical, environmental factors which are pertaining to the site comes under the part of the site analysis. So we can say that site analysis is the systematic study of existing environment and its influence on architectural design and layout. In residential design, the site analysis will help you decide the orientation of the room, control the heat, glare and ventilation aspects. It will help you to respond to neighborhood character and improve environmental comfort without much of the mechanical dependencies. So you might be thinking, what is to be done in site analysis? So site analysis is basically the process of surveying or studying the existing environment and how it will influence structures, design and layout of the site. So we can say that site analysis is a culmination of what is happening on the site, the inventory that is happening, the site elements that are working, and from that you need to gather the relevant information to have your design at par. So site analysis is a decision making tool. It's not just a documentation exercise, and one by one we will explore all the aspects, parameters and factors that impact site analysis and at the end of the day it impacts the design decisions that the students and the architects will be taking for their design journey. So, the purpose of site analysis is pretty simple. An architectural site analysis will examine issues such as the location of the site, where the site is located, the size of the plot, that means the dimensions of the plot, the topography means the landforms, the soil type, what is happening in terms of soil, and the land typology, it comes under the typography of the land. The zoning, in which zones the site is lying, we have already discussed in our previous lectures what is zoning and what are the development and control norms are. So, all those factors will be taken into care when we work on the zoning aspect of the site, and the nearby traffic conditions, the climate. So, all these factors implemented together will work on the site analysis. So, the main purpose of the site analysis is that from all these factors it will need to consider the future development and changes to the site surrounding, such as if a change happens in the say road designations, shifting of cultural pattern, or any other significant building developments within that particular area. So, the architect has to understand what is happening with the site, he needs to understand what are the various types of constraints that can come across. So, for all these purposes site analysis is done. It also helps the architect to identify opportunities that the site lies. It helps the architect to make evidence based design decision, and in later on it helps any post design corrections or amendments that are required. So, basically site analysis gives you a basic fundamental foundation to work on your further design decisions. So, the factors that are considered for site analysis are basically four major factors are considered. The first and foremost is the site information. The students have to make sure that all the relevant site information is there and you have been informed and you are aware what is happening. Physical factors are the factors which cannot be changed, but yes, it can be amended for the benefit of the design. Cultural and man-made features are the features that already exist on the site and you have to work your design in accordance to that features. And the sensory factors are the factors that you feel, that you touch, that you see. So, all these factors culminate together to give you the basis foundation of site analysis. We will explore all these four factors one by one in coming slides. So, basic site information has 6 major parameters. The first one is site location. It shows where the site is located. The second one is the area. What is the size of that site? How much area it is given? The boundary. What is the site boundary? What are the dimensions of the site? Length, width. If a site is a squarish or a rectangular geometry, but you will be having very uneven site also in your future. So, site dimensioning is another important aspect on which the site analysis is taken care of. Then accessibility is something which decides how to reach that particular site. So, accessibility of the site also plays a very important role, and the site surrounding means that what is happening around the site. So, we will be discussing all these factors one by one. Site location is basically where the site is located, that means the address of the site. So, if a site is located in India, you will show India. In India, if it is say located in Delhi, you will show Delhi. In Delhi, where exactly the site is located, it is marked, and in Delhi there are many districts. So, in that district where that site is present is shown in the site location. For example, there is the example shown of the site from Dwarka, which is 1.2 kilometer from the nearest metro station of sector 12. So, all these information has to be given when you are showcasing the site location. It also shows the connectivity and access, how to reach the site. what are the major aspects that will help you to reach the site, what is the connectivity, how you are accessing the sites, what are the abutting roads, what is the number of roads, if the site is a corner plot or it is a plot which is embedded deep within a mohalla or a colony. So, the abutting roads, the approach roads also tell you where the site is present. So, all these come under the basic site information. This will help you understand where the entry point of the site can be located, and if it is already allocated, do you need to change it depending upon the road condition nearby. It will also help you understand what is the closest bus stop, metro station, railway station, airport. So, basically it gives a contextual relevance to your site location, so that anybody who has to come to the site can come easily. The access is clearly defined, the site is approachable or not approachable. So, if the site is approachable with very good connectivity, then the architect is in a better place, placement of the site is good. But in cases where the approach of the site is not clearly mentioned, where the approach of the site has to be identified, here the role of architect becomes a little bit more important. So, the site has to be given a suitable entry, a suitable exit approach, and this responsibility comes on the architect. So, identifying the correct entry and exit points and accessibility with respect to the roads that is nearby with the location and the community the site is existing has a very important role to be play and needs to be analyzed in a very proper way. So, abutting roads means the road which are nearby around the site. So, you have to check if the site is connected to that road, how many sides road is present in your site, what is the width of that road, what is the distance from the nearest transport station such as bus stop, metro, railway station, what is the street circulation pattern, what are the type of movement that is happening. So, that all these factors will be important when you are working on your site. This is an example how a site analysis examines transportation and accessibility. In this, it is mentioned how the site has been approached, what are the nearest bus stand, nearest commute opportunities, metro station, airport, railway station, what are the distances, because people have to come on the site, people have to come on that location. So, better the accessibility, better the site potential. So, all these factors are implemented when we are doing site analysis. Next important thing to understand is that what is the movement patterns that are happening around the site, because movement patterns are basically vehicular traffic movement, they are pedestrian traffic movement, and they are service accesses. Vehicular means all the bus, cars, trucks, all these come under vehicular traffics, and pedestrian movement means it is the walkability aspect that is to be evaluated. So, site location, another it is very important to understand current movement pattern that is happening around the site, because that will decide your entry points, your exit point. If there is a junction and you provide an entry to your site, it will always be chaotic, it will always be noisy. So, all these factors help you to understand and decide with these decisions. In residential relevance, specifically when the site is very close to a main road, problems like noise is a very important aspect to be taken care of, because a busy road is always a noisy road. It can also impact the safety when it is contradicted with pedestrian movement pattern. Although it gives you ease of access, but many a times you will always face a parking issue problem. Many a times in just outside your house or your residence, you will see that cars are parked illegally or not parked properly. So, all these factors will impact the overall well-being of the user that is there in your project. Next important factor is the area, boundary, dimension and edge conditions, which are taken again into site information. Area means what is the total plot area, Boundary is the area, the perimeter of the site is the boundary. The dimensions are the length, width or the angle dimensions, and edge condition means how it is being abutted to the road. So, edge condition, you have one street facing or you have two street facing, and according to that the setbacks are decided, which have been discussed in the building bylaws lecture. This is an example of an uneven site where it is not a rectangular geometry, it is an irregular geometry. So, each and every edge of the site is measured and the area is calculated. So, these are not just design decisions, but the site which has to be taken care of decides what are the total site area, and on basis of that you will take further design decisions how to do the internal zoning of the site, which area is to be placed where on that site. Immediate context means what is the built mass around the site. So, surrounding of the site is also very important when we are working on any design. So, site analysis very critically evaluate the site surrounding conditions and what context the site is having. So, first thing is the immediate context. So, what is the build mass around the site? What are the landmarks? Is there any major historical building or maybe a religious building is around the site? What are the heights of the adjacent land uses, what is the open area around the site. So, all these impact the quality of the site. It helps you to work out the views, what you get, the views from the site and the views towards the site. Views from the site means when you are standing on the site, what are the views you are seeing, what are the things you are evaluating, and views towards the site means what other people see when they are standing in their property. So, both have interactions between them and both are related to each other. Neighborhood context is another aspect which has to be taken into care, that what is the typology of buildings that are existing. So, it has to be analyzed in the basic site information context. If there are very tall buildings around the site, it will shadow your site area and it will stop the sunlight coming to your site. If the buildings are very high, then again the diffusion will not be taken care of. So, massing strategies has to be again implemented when you are doing your site analysis. In this slide you can see a few examples where tall buildings create shadow impact on the site, because higher the building, the longer the shadow it will take, and it can be mitigated by properly aligning the setbacks, properly creating some massing around the site, so that the solar conditions and the prevailing wind conditions are taken into care. Massing strategies are used so that the microclimate is better and improvised site decisions can be taken. So, depending upon what typology of buildings are around the site, you can decide what height you are going to take for the building or where exactly you are going to locate the prime and the important aspects of your design into what area of that particular site, so that no clashes come. So, we need to understand that all the parameters for doing the site analysis has to be in and around the site context. The site context is very important, and all the aspects that we have initially discussed are the basic, fundamental and foundation of site analysis. So, a residential complex is not just a house designed on a plot of land, it is a complex system of physical, environmental and contextual layers. So, site analysis helps the architects and the designers to understand all the constraints that are there before going for any planning, so that the decisions are taken beforehand without going back and forth and making the changes. They need to identify the existing opportunities they have. They need to identify the environmental opportunities in terms of site area, site boundary, site surrounding, site geometry, and using these existing aspects, the overall comfort and the livability can be enhanced for any project, for any design or any house that you are going to do. So, these decisions are related not just with orientation, accessibility, but it is also related to the overall quality of spaces you are going to design. So, the orientation helps you to work out the open spaces, so that you have more and more natural light, natural ventilation. It helps you to identify your accesses, what area to be left open, what area need to be enclosed, what are the massing that has to be done, and these help you identify the current site conditions and help you evaluate it and work on a better design decisions which you are going to take while designing the house. So, a well-read site leads to a very good climate responsive context and a very sensitive residential design. So, this was all for the site and the site context and conditions. We will be continuing this lecture in the second part, where we will discuss the other aspects of site analysis. So, thank you students. See you in the continuing lecture. Thank you.